Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Health Matters. I'm Dr. Heather Melton, and I think we're bringing you a really good show tonight. It's been postponed a little bit, but luckily our guests were able to join us here again tonight. And we're really excited about the topic we're going to be talking about. I want to remind everybody to tune in, and if you're not able to join us here tonight, this episode will be on my Facebook page, Health Matters with Dr. Heather Melton, and will be posted to YouTube too. We have a lot of exciting shows coming up, and of course our goal is to always bring to our viewers some medical topics that might be outside of mainstream medicine, and some things you may hear about but are afraid to ask your provider about. And one of those subjects we're going to talk about tonight, we're really excited. I think that we're going to get a lot of useful information from our guests tonight. We have Garrett and Kelly Johnstone. They're here from Black Owl Dispensary in Camden, and they're going to talk to us about some of the medicinal properties of CBD and hemp. I really want to get into this information so that we can be educated consumers, also to dispel any myths or concerns that people may have associated with this product. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about CBD and hemp, and there's also a plethora of gas station selling CBD, and it's everywhere, but I don't think a lot of people know actually what they're consuming and what the health benefits potentially are. So we're going to really get into that tonight, and I encourage you to share this with friends and family, because most likely we're going to touch on a health issue that is pertinent to you or somebody that you care about, that this may be a good alternative for them away from traditional medicine. So again, I'd like to welcome our guests here, coming all the way from Camden, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Just maybe introduce yourselves a little bit, what's your background and how you got into this area.
Okay. My name's Garrett Johnstone, one of the founders of the Black Owl. Personally for me, I got involved with cannabis as a whole through commercial cannabis cultivation in California. So I was actually a licensed medical cannabis cultivator. So for me, I had the privilege of working in a legal state where I was actually able to have a medical card at the age of 18. I was able to be a licensed caregiver, which meant I was able to cultivate my own material and sell to dispensaries that were dispensing product to medical patients. That kind of transferred over to obviously the knowledge and the background that we have today. That was kind of what I've always wanted to do. I got involved the minute I was of the legal age in California, and from there I was licensed to cultivate on 1 square acre. So growing commercial cannabis, extracting commercial cannabis, the branding, the marketing, the science behind the delivery of these products was what gravitated me towards this industry as a whole. And I wanted to know more. I knew obviously there was effects that were created when you use these products, but I wanted to be able to understand the science behind why would a cancer patient take this, or why would I recommend a product, what makes a sleep product, or what product to use at what time. And that's kind of what developed my passion, and I just went from there, and it's what I've done and what I love to do. And had some misfortune and ended up getting hit by a forest fire in Northern California. Lost everything we had owned. At that time, we had met, and I was going back and forth from California to Illinois, and it was a really weird situation. Everything was against us, from the forest fires to counties, due to cannabis, the legality around it. It's legal under state law, but it's illegal under federal law.
Correct.
So at any given time, you can have a state issue or a county issue that provokes what was once legal. So the county that we were in decided to ban commercial cultivation right after we got burned by a forest fire. So you were kind of left with a property. Yeah. What do you do? And from there, we had to get creative, and then we ended up moving to Illinois from there, and then from Illinois, Kelly and I had family in Tennessee, and then we kind of gravitated towards here, and we took the whole CBD hemp approach from there, and we developed our brand and our storefront, our production facility, and then this is what we've been doing ever since.
So how did you come with the name Black Owl?
So it's a weird story, because my dad, he owns a business in Chicago, and my great-grandfather invented the ice cream push-up. So my dad's logo on the back of his shirt was always an owl. So growing up, seeing him come home from work, I saw the owl and I was like, I wanted to do something like that. And then next thing I know, we developed this in California. And then from here, we were actually able to bring it to life. And it was really cool to see it happen.
Sorry.
But yeah, and like you can see like right there too. It's kind of tough to see, but like that little owl head was something that we sat down and hand created, and that just kind of sparked the name from there.
So you're from a family of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're located in Camden, Tennessee, right?
Yep, correct.
Do you do online ordering too?
Yeah, we actually do online, which is pretty amazing too, because sometimes we get orders from different states where we have no idea how they heard about us.
Right.
Being a small family-owned business in the heart of Camden, Tennessee, it's not the biggest community, so to have an online presence that's growing is like we every day we just go, how did this person hear about us, or Texas or California, the states that you just wouldn't even believe, but yeah, we do.
So obviously medical marijuana is not legal in our state, the THC part. So what I want to do, we'll probably bring that subject up on this show. I'd like to bring some physicians in who are able to use this modality with their patients. Obviously, I'm not able to do that. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the components. So the THC is obviously the thing that's illegal that we're not allowed to use. But then we have these other products that come from marijuana that have medicinal value that are legal here.
Correct.
So kind of define that for us, CBD, hemp, just these things that get tossed out there in the community, what they really are and what the potential health benefits are.
Of course, yeah. It's funny because technically if you were to grow marijuana and Kelly was to grow hemp in the backyard, the only thing that really separates that species of plant is the THC content, or the molecule cannabinoid called delta-9 THC. So what you're commonly seeing in states like Tennessee or states that don't have a medical marijuana program is you're seeing products called delta-8 THC products. You're seeing delta-10, THCO, HHC. These are all cannabinoids that are derived from compliant hemp material and are converted to a psychoactive form of compliant hemp material that is being sold.
So it's a little way around it, but they're essentially going to be the same.
Well, and that was like for us, like, don't get us wrong. We approach this business from the therapeutic mindset. That was my passion, and having Kelly there with me to sit there and say, hey, this is what's important is, you got to think, coming from California where it was all psychoactive, like there was no restrictions. We could have product.
I also grew up there.
So you're very familiar. So when we came down here, she really sat there and she said, listen, now you're no longer focusing on the psychoactive aspect of this plant. What products can you generate and create that are going to create relief based upon the knowledge and the ability of what you have in front of you? And that was huge, because this was before delta-8 or these other molecules that were creating the effect were ever really discovered and released. So
what is CBD?
So what CBD is, and this is what's very confusing, you hear the term CBD, you hear the term THC. We know THC gets you high, and we know CBD is blown up and has become everywhere. What CBD and THC actually are, they're components, they're plant-based molecules that we call cannabinoids. So it gets a little confusing because when you take a sample of your flower material, let's say you and I were to grow a harvest of hemp, we would have to send that material in, and we would have to get what's called a certificate of analysis. What that does is that breaks down the actual cannabinoid content inside of that flower. So if you were to look at a product that says 900 milligrams of CBD, the only way you're going to know that is by getting a certificate that measures the concentration of cannabinoids inside that product. So they're natural occurring chemical compounds that occur in the various materials that you grow that can be extracted and then utilized in their raw form for specific products and specific purposes.
So do you know the history of CBD and how that evolution came for us to realize the medicinal purposes of CBD?
Yeah, the weird thing, again, coming from the psychoactive concentrations to now hemp-derived formulations, okay? What happened was the major difference between the two is you come into a store. This is a great example. Let's say we have medical patients that are in California that are purchasing some of these products you see in front of us because of the fact that they can't get as concentrated in terms of CBD, CBG, or other raw cannabinoids that occur naturally in hemp. Okay? So the major difference is low THC, high CBD content versus your actual cannabis industry that's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people start using cannabis for like pain, anxiety, and all the things, when really the products that they're going to be needing is things more with CBD, CBC, CBG, where they're looking for that relief, and it's going
Without the psychogenic properties.
And they think that the cannabis with the delta-9 in it is what's causing that relief, but it's really the other cannabinoids that really have a lot to do with it, where they're working together for that.
So have there been good studies published showing these medicinal effects of CBD, and then how do you decide the threshold, say, of the dose that's appropriate for different problems?
That's a really touchy subject again, because think about how many states, yes, it might be legal under state law, but still federally illegal. So you don't really see mass funding in terms of, hey, let's study this, let's study that. But what you do see is you see various states that are adapting and are trying to figure out, well, what's the purpose of this cannabinoid or what's the purpose of that? We actually know a buddy of mine that runs a lab that's out in Colorado. They were one of the first companies to do a clinical study on one of their extracts, and it's called a Varin oil. So just like CBD or THC, this is called CBDV and THCV. They actually did a blind study, and their whole thing was, it started off for just pain and inflammation, and that was their blind study. And they started to notice after, I want to say it was a 45-day study, after the 45 days, the majority of the people that did, I think it was 92 individuals that were involved in this study. I think it was over 70% of them ended up losing about like 5 to 10 pounds over the allotted amount of time from the study, because those cannabinoids worked as an appetite suppressant inside the human body, and that wasn't even the purpose of the study.
Right.
So
there may be many more properties of these products that may be beneficial to people that we don't even know about.
Correct.
But there's not obviously a lot. I mean, major pharmaceuticals aren't investing in this.
Well,
they can't patent anything that occurs naturally.
Right. If it grew that way, they can't patent it.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I also work with bioidentical hormones, and it's the same thing. So if you have something that's naturally occurring, they can't patent it, they can't make money. So this is why I think like medicinal marijuana, and including THC, but also CBD, hasn't got as much promotion, because I mean, people are obviously making money on it, but big pharma drives how we're being treated.
Yeah.
And I mean, I may be one of the few practicing physicians who recommends CBD to my patients. I don't know, I don't speak for the others, but you know, I deal with a lot of joint pain, and a lot of my patients can't take traditional anti-inflammatories because of the side effects. And this is something that I've had a lot of people switch over to and have had good results. So I'll tell you, I mean, with some skepticism, because whenever I hear of a product that does so many things, okay, so it's an anti-inflammatory, it's a pain medication, it's an anti-anxiety medication, it helps you with sleep, it, you know, is antidepressive, it, you know, and you're talking about all these things, and I'm like, is this snake oil? You know, I mean, when it encompasses so many things. And so I know you guys are really good about trying to like find a specific problem for a product for the patient's problem. And so maybe kind of explain that for us too.
Yeah, and typically like using these products is what it's going to really do is put your body back into homeostasis. So like we love what you're doing, because there really isn't a whole lot of doctors that are willing to share something that's going to help kind of get to the root cause of the problem instead of just a band-aid over it. So the components in the products are targeting different things, but also due to bio-individuality, everybody's chemical makeup is different. So they could affect people in a different way, where someone might need to take a little bit more, or someone might need to take a little less than the typical, or one compound in the plant might work a little bit better for something than it is for somebody else. So a lot has to do with that, where we really like to help the people. We're not there to sell anything. We really want to help educate people on the products and how they're being used and why they're using these things and how they're actually working in their bodies.
So if you have somebody come in and, so let's say there's two people who come in and say I come in and I'm having horrible arthritic pain, I can't take a traditional anti-inflammatory, and then there's another person who comes in and they're having anxiety and sleep issues. Is there different products for those people, different dosages? Like how do you?
One of the coolest things that we do that a lot of other people don't do is our production facility is located behind our retail location, right? So it's an all-in-one sort of facility. So we do a program that's basically called a custom tincture program. Okay, so everybody's familiar with the bottle of CBD oil. Everybody's familiar with, that was like the first product that was launched was CBD oil or tincture, which would be that product right there.
This one?
Yep. Yeah, of course. And the beauty of what we can do is we can basically sit down and we have a check sheet that we can go over and we can explain, like for example, okay, I'm having nausea or I can't sleep at night or I'm having pain or inflammation. We can formulate with plant-based components to give us the best suited chance for relief during those targeted areas. So the one thing that we'll never do is we'll never look you in the face and say, we guarantee this is going to work, because what we just discussed, bio-individuality, your chemical makeup's different than mine, mine's different than the next person, effective strengths, dosages, it all varies so much that we really don't even know how much it's going to take or what delivery method's going to work best until we start somewhere.
So do you start lower?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And so it's very similar to being prescribed a medication in the sense of some of these products can have the stronger effect, which has the same psychoactive properties as regular cannabis. The last thing you're going to want to do is take one of those products in a heavier dose when that is not what's required for what you're looking for. Right. And that's the most common mistake with these products is the individuals that are taking these products, they're not familiar with cannabis products or hemp-derived cannabinoid products like these. They don't start low. They don't listen to some of the requirements in terms of, hey, when you're eating an ingestible cannabinoid or product, you want to wait an hour and a half to 2 hours for the effects of that product to be felt. A lot of times the humans as a whole, we're kind of impatient.
Yeah.
So about 30 minutes later, they're taking another one, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, it is too strong, it's too much, which defeats the purpose. We're looking for plant-based, comfortable plant-based relief. So it can get dosing is very important.
To build up to in your system.
Yep, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You'd be better off starting lower and gradually increasing at a comfortable rate the next few days till you find what's working for you.
And I don't think that, I mean I might be wrong here, but kind of how I imagine is that some people, like you were saying, some people, it's not going to be an hour, it might be a couple weeks of being on it consistently before you feel some relief.
Normally with some of the stronger products, within an hour and a half, you feel the onset of the effects, but in terms of overall relief, just like a pharmaceutical medication, take it for 1 to 2 months before we decide how well is this working for your specific reason, or what. It can take about a week and a half. It could take almost 3 weeks for those cannabinoids to develop, to restore and restructure the cells in your system to homeostasis before you notice an overall difference.
So is there anybody who shouldn't be taking these products?
Like with CBD, we have moms that come in with children with autism that need it, ADHD, pain. We have cancer patients. Like we have like a whole.
There's no real contraindication.
Not that's necessarily been discovered again, because you're using plant-based components, right? So if we do have a child that's coming in with autism or whatever, we do guide a very low dosage, and really There's no, now normally what was discussed through studies was if you have blood pressure medication or heart medication patients, it could speed up or slow down the delivery rate of that medication. Again, it's kind of up to question because bio-individuality, we don't know what it's going to do to their metabolism in terms of is it going to speed that up, is it going to slow that down. So that was really the one study, but we do recommend if that's the case, spacing it a few hours apart from your medication to avoid any interaction.
Have they found any studies showing that people are able to decrease or wean off of other psychogenic medications like antidepressants or anxiolytic medication with the use of CBD?
Yeah, well, and you know what was the weirdest one out of these is I kept getting phone calls when we were in there, and so did Kelly, and she'd be like, we got another phone call, and it was people calling saying, oh, hey, we're hearing about a CBD that's meant to stop me from smoking cigarettes. And so we're sitting there, and you don't know how many times I heard that, and I'm like sitting here, and I'm like, so I looked up that product, there was not a single compound in that product other than CBD, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, from what I'm seeing, it's just your standard CBD gummy. So. Again, due to lack of funding in some of these studies, there's no...
So it's really an uncharted, as far as like good scientific studies, there's not been a lot done.
There just hasn't been.
What we see firsthand, we've definitely seen people that have gotten off of medications or harder even drugs in the sense of out on the streets just from coming in using our products. And for me, when I really started to see like there is really something to this was him personally, because in the beginning of our relationship, he really was like so much anxiety. He wouldn't leave the house. He didn't want to, and then he started using CBD himself, and then he was like speaking to crowds about it, and it was just amazing for me to see the transformation firsthand with him.
I mean, I have my own story too about it. I mean, a lot of people know my story. My husband was killed in Las Vegas, which obviously caused, I mean, that was a horrible situation, and I was there and being shot at. And that obviously, you know, I'm not the kind of person who, like, I'm not going to go there. You know me, I'm just like, no, I'm tough. I can do this. And my anxiety was coming out in a different way. I was having heart palpitations, like probably 20 to 30 times a day. Wow. And at first I was like, there's something wrong with my heart. But then I realized it was really probably anxiety. And it was just a weird feeling. And I went through a pharmacy that offered a CBD product. That was actually before you guys existed. But and I took it every day for like 2 months and never had another problem again. And I'm not somebody, I can't tolerate, you know, I don't want to take Xanax, and I never took a single anxiety prescription medication. I never took a single antidepressant, which I think it would have been justified, but it's not for me. I don't like how they make me feel. I don't like how it changes my personality. So for me, this was like, it really was life-changing, because anybody who's had those kind of anxiety attacks, I guess as you call them, is you think you might be dying.
You are, and in your mind you are. You're dying,
and so for me, it made a big difference. And I don't take it on a regular basis, but I may change that after this, because it really changed. It like rewired my brain or my body so that I wasn't having those heart palpitations. And it happens occasionally now and then, but nothing like it was, where it was so consistent. So
that is just, it's crazy. It's very spot on to what happened to me. So you're talking about what I was doing to generate a living for myself and my family. I got burnt by a forest fire. I had family members who almost passed away from this fire that we couldn't access on the property. I mean, it was like something out of a movie. People were spray painting the phone numbers on their livestock and were letting them go because there was no way you were going to load up that animal and get your animal and yourself out of there. And it was wild. And then when they revoked our licensing, okay, so we got burnt out the year before. We lost everything we had.
Twice.
And then the next following year, they revoked licensing and permits in our county. So what we were doing for 4 years, you're no longer allowed to do. So that is when I'm very fortunate to have had her by my side through this whole thing, because I got to the point where, like she said, I couldn't leave my bed. I couldn't go. I felt like impending doom. Like every day I was going to die. Like you said, my heart was fluttering. I kept going to the I'm like, something's wrong with me. My heart, I can't talk to. And like you said in the beginning, when you get me going, I can talk. And so the fact that I couldn't talk to anybody.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I just couldn't communicate in public. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't drink an energy drink. I couldn't drink coffee. I developed like a hypersensitivity that wired my brain to panic, to freak out. They prescribed me Xanax and the same thing. Every day I took it, she'd go, you took your medication today, didn't you? And I was struggling every single day to not take that. And this is why we were in Illinois. So you're talking the best part of my life, she can sit there and tell, you took your medication. I was changing me as a person. And I didn't, I hated it. And I felt groggy. I felt like a zombie. I just didn't feel right. And so coming from developing this hypersensitivity, being a medical cannabis patient, obviously I partook since I was able to. I was no longer able to do that. Anything psychoactive, I would freak out. I would literally, it would make it so much worse.
At this point, he's been 5 years sober.
And like I had my own struggles with other things as well. But yeah, at this point in my life, it's been close to 5 years. And I haven't had any psychoactive components inside my body. Not a beer, not anything. And it's just been really weird. And being in this situation where, okay, now I'm having these panic attacks, we moved down here, and that's when we really started taking the holistic approach of non-psychoactive cannabinoids. And obviously, I wasn't going to recommend a product that I've never tried myself. So I sat down, and from day and night, I mean, the amount of research that I did on different companies and what made a product better than the next, or just looking at different certificates. I mean, it wasn't anything that was foreign to me, because to be a licensed product in California, we had to have that. But I was able to take a holistic plant-based approach for myself. And about after the third week, it was weird. It was little victories at first. I was noticing that we were in public, and normally I would order our food, and then she would run in and go get it. There was no more dating. There was no more like, hey, we're going to a restaurant together. And that broke my heart, because for somebody that's as outgoing as she is, like, that was another thing that just killed me inside as well. And it changed to the point where, like you said, so it's restoring and rebalancing cells inside your system, and over time, more than you even really realize. So it was about the third week, and I was like, whoa, like
let's go out to dinner.
And it was like pretty much like, and I had to have, it was weird because my anxiety was so bad, I had to at least have my at least have my medication, the Xanax, somewhere on my persons for a while, right?
Whether or not it was in your body or in your pocket.
If it was folded up somewhere in my wallet, which is like the weirdest thing, there's a little pill folded in my wallet, but that was where we were at. And slowly, it got to the point where I was no longer taking it. I was able to leave it at home, not even think about it. And I think I have a prescription that has to be 5 years old that still has remaining ones in there. And I found it the other day, and it was like all dust in there. And I'm like, think about how crazy that is, to go from where you physically needed one every day to not feel like you were dying, to you're using a plant-based component. This just grew naturally from the ground. It passed all of our certificates. There's no heavy metals.
And it doesn't change your personality.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even really realize how well it's helping them until they run out and don't have any more, and then they're like, those little things, that anxiety coming up, or those pain in their hands, or something along those lines, they start realizing, what am I doing differently?
So I guess, some people probably take this every day, and some people take it as they need it. It just depends on what they're using it for.
I recommend, regardless of what they're looking to achieve. But again, too, you're in the realm of where you have some products that are very strong.
And people don't want that every day.
And people don't want that every day. So then you also have products like some of the, like for example, let's say this is a Delta 8 gummy right here. It's a 25 milligram gummy. Now, this gummy right here is going to generate a pretty strong effect. And then there's even a double strength, which is a 50 milligram. That would be very comparable to any cannabis edible that you would buy in Illinois, California.
Really?
We've actually had numerous, being from California and having friends that are still in Colorado, California.
Where's Mike? He's going to want to come out here.
Well, for example, I had a woman who went to Colorado and spent a week there, and she goes, we went to multiple dispensaries when we were out there. She goes, I still like these better. So when
somebody, if they blindly took, they would have.
You would
know.
Yeah.
They would.
You really
Besides, probably getting more pain relief from our products because of the
There's
other
a higher
cannabinoids.
CBD.
Yeah. And a different effect, because now you're using a different molecule that's not common in your medical cannabis in California or Illinois. It's a hemp derived component.
I think it's super cool that you guys process your own hemp. Is that how it works? I mean,
Yeah, so it's really.
So do you grow your own also?
So this is what's a weird situation is when we moved down here, our initial approach was going to be the cultivation side. We then developed a storefront, and then a second storefront, then a production facility. So we got, again, we're a family-owned business. We don't have any outside employees. So what you see here is done by us, by our family. There's no outside help. So what ended up happening was I had a buddy of mine who's in California, and he grows medical cannabis, and then he started to breed hemp. So he actually started crossing the two to create strains that are not common in the whole hemp industry, and he grows them in an indoor environment. So that's what a lot of people, when you heard hemp cultivation in the beginning, you saw large fields where it was growing. We only cultivate our hemp in an indoor facility because, number one, you're controlling the temperature, the humidity, the climate is completely controlled. You are left with a quality that's unrivaled by, to this day, I would put money saying some of the flower material that we're producing is unseen in this whole country, and there's only 5 of us that have access to these specific genetics. So we think of ourselves as a farm-to-table restaurant, like a soil to the oil. You know, we are responsible from the minute it's cultivated.
That soil to the oil. That's good.
Yeah, I came over that. Yeah, well, because it's what we do. Like at any given time, we can see the plants. We have a partner of ours that's in Colorado that does medical cannabis extraction. They do our hemp extraction. So it's in licensed medical cannabis facilities in California and Colorado for the parts that we can't do in terms, which not that we can't do it, we just don't have the infrastructure and the facility right now to run and manage our own. Which is our goal, you know, but at this point in time, we outsourced that to family friends that we've worked with our whole lives, so we can call at any time and see what strains are being grown, where our material's at in terms of extraction. I mean, it's
I think
really cool.
that's what really makes us different too, is a lot of times like people really don't realize the quality that goes into the products really makes a huge difference.
Sure.
And some people will buy stuff off of Amazon, and Amazon can't legally sell CBD. It's actually like hemp seed oil, which is different from CBD. So it's a different part of the plant. So they're not actually getting the product that they think that they're getting. And a lot of times you'll hear people say, it didn't work for me, it didn't work for me. And it's like,
Well, I always discourage my patients from just going to some random place and buying it, like, you know, or ordering it online, because you just don't know, and the people selling it don't care, because they just care that you're sending the money. But I was really impressed when you came into our office one time, and you obviously were knowledgeable about it, so that's why I wanted you to have you on here. I also think it's really cool that this product is in our community here in West Tennessee, just, you know, small rural area. I think it's really cool that you are growing your own plants. How long is it, like, what's the turnover of when you start the plant to the product?
So that's kind of the beauty of indoor cultivation as well. We can run perpetual harvest, which basically means you are able to harvest multiple times throughout the months. For example, let's say if you're cultivating outdoor, there's a natural life cycle of that plant in terms of vegetation stage, which means it's going to grow as tall and as strong as it can, and flower stage in terms of it building and stacking on the actual flower material that we would extract for the CBD. So normally when you do an outdoor harvest, you can get 1 harvest a year, and it normally can take, it varies depending on your climate and your area. Now when you transfer to a greenhouse facility, we call them light depth cultivation is basically utilizing a greenhouse that has automatic tarps that can mimic season change. So now you're tricking these plants into thinking, hey, you're done with your vegetation stage, now you're going into flower stage, now it's time to produce your flower.
This is really high tech in Camden, Tennessee.
It gets pretty, but then when you go with an indoor facility, so think about each one of these steps, you're taking the step towards a higher quality product. If I were to show you outdoor grown material and indoor grown material, you would look at the two and go, there's a huge difference, just visually, by the smell, by the taste. I mean, that's what's creating high grade material versus your average low grade material. So it just depends. I mean,
That really is what makes us stand out too, because a lot of people, they don't care. They're like, they're not even going to see the material that's put in this pre-roll or this product, where we still get the highest quality material, even though it's more expensive for us too. We want to make sure that the customers are getting the
Well, they're going to come
that-
back and get more if it
Yeah.
actually helps them,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw a Dr. Phil show or something. No, not Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. Like, all those doctors, who knows? They all got
One of them,
shows.
yeah.
All these doctors are on shows now. I don't know what's going on. No, but he had like 4 or 5 CBD products on there, and they tested them, and I don't think any of them had in them what was actually advertised.
Yeah.
Some had no CBD. Some had THC when they weren't supposed to have THC. And, you know, like he's like, you know, buyer beware, because
Yeah.
you don't know what you're getting.
So that is the, again, like Kelly touched base on, when you come into our location, we are not there to sell you anything. We love what we do. Like what you see here, the branding, the marketing, the labeling, the packaging, product formulation, we love to do it. I mean, we will stay up till late hours of the night trying to get everything finalized, and it's done by us. But when you walk into our facility and you see a certificate of analysis, for example, I should have brought one to show you, but you'll see a picture of that bottle, and then you'll hold the bottle in your hands. You will then see the picture of the bottle on a sheet of paper that has the address that you are standing in at that moment in time, accurately recording the CBD content in your product.
Wow.
So I tell people, I'm like, you go anywhere, and it's not just for the concentration. It's to know there's no pesticides from it being farmed. Make sure the farmers never use pesticides on it. No residual solvents left in the extraction equipment, which would be butane or CO2. Again, that's already scary if that would be in your product. Microbial impurities, which would basically be fungus and things that were inside your soil that were contaminating your flower. I mean, heavy metals, meaning there's no arsenic, no lead inside your product. Our starting material is tested for all of those. Our finalized material is tested for all those. The same address that's on the bottle is on that certificate for the address that you're standing in at that point in time.
Yeah,
and that's
cool.
very rare. I mean, you can go to a gas station and look at that product. The certificate doesn't even match the company's name, and it has nothing to do with it's in Florida, and all of a sudden you're in Tennessee buying this product that says the branded company was in Tennessee.
Right.
It's very suspicious.
Is there regulatory, I'm sure there is, like government regulatory or is it?
This is why a lot of people from the cannabis side are against the hemp side and some of these cannabinoids. So places like, I'm just trying to, there's some states that have medical cannabis that have banned some of these hemp-derived cannabinoids because of the lack of regulations, and that is what's very scary. So there's really no regulations put in place making sure that that product is a dispensary-grade product. We do that because that's what we had to do in California, and that's what's really scary.
Right.
Is there's no
I mean, that's kind of true for all nutraceuticals, though. I mean, there's no real regulatory. I mean, you can buy something that says this is 5,000 units of vitamin D, but there's really nobody looking over that.
And as long as it has that FDA compliance notice that this product is not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or ailments, they sell it as a dietary supplement.
I mean, it
with no
could
strings
literally
attached.
be vegetable oil in there.
Yep.
You know, you don't know.
Well, and that's what was scary is like people are like, oh, I bought it. Like Kelly said, Amazon is legally not allowed to sell CBD on their platform, but people keep buying hemp oil. There's a large difference between hemp oil. That is basically, you have omega-3s and omega-6s, which would basically be the same as taking a fish oil. Okay,
Right.
It's
I think that's where people get confused, and
It's
that's
very
why I was
confused.
like, we need to talk about the difference between hemp, CBD,
Yep.
THC,
Yeah.
and kind of break down the
Yeah,
products.
so your hemp oil, no cannabinoids, no plant-based components that will work in your brain and your immune system, none at all. Yes, there's omega-3s and omega-6s, which you'd be better off using it as a cooking oil. And then you have your CBD products, which are extracted from the flower and have these natural occurring cannabinoids that work in different receptors in your brain and your immune system to create targeted relief.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it would be, what I would love to see is somebody like a Mayo Clinic or a major medical center really like look at this, look at good quality products, put it head to head with some of our traditional things, because I mean, in my mind, a lot of those drugs that we as physicians prescribe are just so toxic, and you know, I try to discourage people from the, sometimes you need them. I'm not taking that away, but there's so many things that they affect, and long-term effects, and your overall well-being and what you're putting in your body. And I mean, every day something comes out about what they found out about a drug that we thought was safe is no longer that safe, or they found that there was, you know, metals in it, or you know, some kind of toxin in it. I would love to see somebody do an actual double-blind study, and long-term study that showed the difference of what these products could offer to our patients and to our community, I guess, and versus some of these that are out there, you know, being promoted every day. And look at the side effects. The side effect profile, I know, would be better for this than it is for the pharmaceuticals.
She always laughs at this, because the thing I say over and over again when clients are coming in and they go, I don't want to be on medication. It's funny because they prescribe you, let's say, here's a depression medication, you're depressed, that may cause suicidal thoughts. And you're like, listen, I know you're the one with the degree, I'm no doctor, but I'm like, well, I don't think this is what I need. And so touching base on have you ever heard of a product called Epidiolex?
No.
It was, the FDA put out a notice saying CBD was not safe to use. You were not supposed to, this is what they said. They basically said CBD from businesses like ourselves, or unregulated, untested, was not safe to use. So they created a synthetic version of CBD called Epidiolex, right? And with, obviously a lot of people's insurance would cover it, but it ended up costing like $32,000 a year, which your insurance paid for, by the way.
Crazy.
Very crazy. But I think it was like 6 months at the most, it started shutting people's kidneys down, and people were getting really sick from taking this product. And again, they can't patent anything that was naturally grown from the ground. So what they do, they try to
block out the thing that's naturally occurring, and then promote something synthetic. I mean, we saw this through the whole pandemic. Same thing, inexpensive, homeopathic, different remedies that were tried and true, were billed as dangerous and scary. And even though it's been around for 50 years and has a safety profile that's almost unrivaled, you know, here we're going to give you this toxic one that's going to shut down your kidneys, and that stuff was happening. So, I mean, I think what the public needs to understand is the FDA and the CDC are not always our advocates. I mean, there's always something else going on. So that's partly why we do this show, is to bring this, you know, kind of information. I mean, I think for people to try something like this is very low risk. You know, it's not like you're gonna you know, lose your house because you try it. You know, it's not super expensive, and the health benefits, it may even help you to maybe, you know, stop taking some of your other traditional meds. And of course, we don't want anybody doing that without you know, seeing their doctor. But I think it is becoming more accepted in mainstream medicine. Like I said, I'm like always handing out flyers and telling people to try it. And so, I mean, also, because there's one you didn't bring here, but you have probably topicals. I just kind of, we're working in the production facility. We're a little behind today, and I just kind of grabbed some of the most. So, like, kind of like you see here. Explain some of these, what the different.
So again, too, we tried to make everything very simple. So we tried to kind of color code things where you were able to say, green was for my daytime use. You're able to say gray was for my relief, or a balance between daytime and nighttime, and my black would be for sleep. And we do the same thing with the bottles of oil as well. So you see that's a daily formulation.
So are these capsules?
No, those are actually gummies. And so and so we manufacture our gummies. Kelly's in the production facility every Friday making the gummies. These gummies, there's less than 1.5 grams, actually less than 1.4 grams of sugar per piece, one ingredient away from being complete vegan. There's so many things working in here. You probably heard the term full spectrum in terms of CBD, which means it has the full assortment from plants. We developed this product right here, and we call this the Elite Spectrum products, because there's not a single company in the country that is making any product like those right there.
Really?
The level of concentration of multiple cannabinoids in each one of these is unheard of. And not only that, but the adaptogens in there. So this would be our daily formulation, Elite Spectrum. This is meant to give you a little pick-me-up needed throughout the day. It's meant to give you that energy. It's also meant to help with anxiety. So what's inside this product is actually a form of coconut oil called C8 MCT oil. It actually works to promote ketosis, and it works as instant brain fuel. So we use those same cannabinoids we discussed earlier about the ones that people were losing weight with, right? So they're meant to give you energy and burn. They work very well in a lot of individuals' metabolism to break things down. Without even realizing it, we created a product that started helping people lose weight, and that's not the goal by any means. And we would never sit there and market. We would just say that
you may lose weight.
We can't say that, but we have seen so many different things happen. We use plant-based terpenes, which a terpene is a flavor and a scent profile, just like lavender is an essential oil, right? Lemon essential oil. Cannabis plants produce terpenes, and so like on that sheet right there, you see that's a piece of flower material. So, and this is a certificate of analysis. So once the flower material is harvested, we send it into a lab, and what you see in the top panel, that's an actual profile of the cannabinoids, your THC, your CBD, etc. Then in this bottom portion, you see these little colorful bars, and then you see that little wheel on the right, and you see where it says comfort, relaxation, focus. Cannabis actually produces terpenes, which terpenes a flavor and a scent profile. Think of that as an essential oil from a cannabis plant. Every strain produces its own essential oil. So you're looking at that one and you go, okay, our lemon octane strain is heavy in myrcene, which is responsible for relaxation. Beta carpholine, right? That's going to be what's responsible for comfort. And then you could look over like terpenol, which that would be responsible for energy. So you can map how a strain is going to make you, in theory, everybody's a little bit different, but generally speaking, how it should work. So we map terpenes in each one of these to give them a specific balance and effect. And using adaptogens, and like, for example, this one right here, the relief one, we use black seed oil, which is great for bone and joint mobility. It's great for inflammation, blood pressure. I mean, the list, kind of like you said, like if you start going down the list, you're like, okay, this is just sound a little far. So we would never guarantee anything, but we use all the knowledge that we have and all the studies that we've personally have done and formulate adaptogens with specific cannabinoids to give it the best chance of a daily product, of a relief product, or of a sleep product. So that's what's important, is you want to know what's inside the product. And like, even for these two right here, we use pharmaceutical grade MCT oil, which a lot of people probably didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. But that's the cleanest MCT oil that we could use.
I know people use MCT oil for weight loss.
Right. Yeah, and so imagine a pharmaceutical grade MCT oil. You're like, oh, so it's really nice.
Yeah. It's interesting. So does it make a difference what delivery method you take? So those are gummies, oils? Or?
Yep, yeah. So when you discuss, like Kelly discussed, bioindividuality, every form of delivery has a different level of bioavailability, meaning the amount of that cannabinoid or components that are in that product that are made available once it's entered your bloodstream. So let's say, for example, you're going to take an edible, okay? It has to process through your digestive system and then into your bloodstream. During that process, it has to work so hard to make its way into your bloodstream. Some of that availability is left behind. Activation time is slower, but the overall length of felt effects is going to be longer than any other form. When you move over to a sublingual option like that right there, you're going to drop it directly under your tongue. It's going to process through glands underneath the tongue into your bloodstream.
Right, okay? It's not going through your stomach.
Right, so it has a higher level of availability. So inhalation-based products, which again it's a touchy subject as well, because that's typically the stereotype, is people smoking this or smoking that. And I think that's the one thing that's becoming a little bit more accepted, is once you see products like this, most likely if you were trying to get your grandmother or somebody that had a stigma surrounding cannabis, they're most likely going to gravitate towards an ingestible option like the oil or like the gummy. It's just more friendly. But inhalation-based products actually have the fastest delivery time or activation times and the highest availability. The minute you inhale that product, it goes straight to your lungs, straight into your bloodstream. So you could map, everybody obviously has preferred delivery methods, but each one does deliver differently at a different rate.
I gotcha. So you have the gummies and the oil and topicals. Is there anything we're missing?
And we have the pre-rolls. We have cartridges too, if people...
What's pre-roll? Oh, like
Yeah, you know, you're fine. Yeah. So basically, the flour material that you saw in that certificate right there, we would take that material, we would grind that up, and we would pack it inside a pre-rolled cone, which would be very similar to a joint that you would see.
So when you get pulled over by a cop and you have a pre-roll in your car, you're going to have to explain that.
So in a sense,
I don't get pulled over, but Mike probably is one.
Yeah, okay. So what we recommend, that's just like in California, okay? Yes, it might be legal, but if you go to a dispensary, they staple your bag shut when you leave the dispensary. If you open that bag from the time you're at the dispensary till in your vehicle at any given time, that's an open container, right?
Right.
This is a little bit different because it's not held to the same standards.
Right.
But the flour material, the pre-roll material, it all has the same smell, the same taste, the same look. You will never be able to tell the difference. Now, we do provide paperwork with every purchase with your receipt, okay? I would say to keep everything at ease, just don't do it while you're driving. I mean, and that's just my, we technically have to say don't drive, don't operate heavy machinery with any of these products.
Especially if you don't know how it's going to affect you.
Exactly. And so, we've had multiple people get pulled over.
Or even like people that really are benefited from this product that get drug tested. They don't want to take that risk, but when they bring in the paperwork that we provide them, kind of like that sheet that was on the screen.
Can you test positive for THC if you use these products?
Yeah, with a true full spectrum product, the legal limit is 0.3% per 1 gram. Those gummies weigh 2.5 grams, so you're talking you could have upwards of 7 milligrams in that one product, okay? So there's certain products out there, broad spectrum products and isolate-based products that have no THC. When you use a true full spectrum product, which means it's a natural extract from the plant and then formulated, you do run into that risk. It is a very small trace amount, so we would never look at anybody and tell them yes or no because we can't guarantee anything. So we do tell everybody just treat it with caution, and you can run into that risk.
But usually, I mean, if you all provide paperwork saying that that's what
I had a woman who she just went to her health practitioner the other day, and she was freaking out. She goes, listen, I'm prescribed certain medication that I physically need. She goes, this works very well for me. She goes, but I still haven't fully transitioned over. She goes, I'm afraid that I'm going to get drug tested, and I'm afraid that they're going to take my medication due to the fact of having THC in my system. When you take a product like Delta 8, 25 milligram or 50 milligram, that is still an isolated form of THC. When you run into the Delta 8 products, your risk is it's amplified. So there's
other products that they could use potentially as beneficial that don't have.
But at the same time, they're wanting a certain effect from a certain product, and they don't want to take steps down. They want a certain effect, and they're going for those. And I explained that to them. I go, listen, like, to do a full panel lab test costs over $800. So this is why you don't see a lot of companies testing their product. So when you look 800, I mean, to test every one of those products, that's not the cheapest thing to do. But she comes in and she goes, give me all the information you have. Gave her a brochure, one of our business cards. I gave her a full panel certificate of analysis on the product that she was using. And I go, give me your update. Let me know what she says. She goes in there, she brings all the paperwork. That paperwork shows that you're working with a respectable business that really cares about the quality of information that's being put into clients' hands. That's the most important thing. I've had multiple practitioners recommend, hey, we don't prescribe it, we can't sell it, but go over to this location here if you are going to look into it. Do you know how that means to hear that as a family-owned business?
I send people to you guys all the time.
That means the world to us. I mean, it does. And I've seen a lot of people get out of iffy situations due to that paperwork.
So tell everybody where they can find you, what your store hours are, and
we are in Camden, and our store hours are Monday through Friday, 11 to 6, and then 12 to 5 on Saturdays. And then we're www.blackowlhempclinic.com, at Black Owl CBD on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and if they're not local and they were interested in like the custom tincture, give us a call, or for any questions, give us a call, and we would love to help answer any questions, help them make a recommendation, or help in any way.
I mean, most of our viewers are from this area, but there's quite a few that, I mean, we have every now and then, you know, some people watching from other states, and
crazy how that works.
you know, if they have questions or want something shipped, I'm sure you guys can accommodate that. So it's been a super informative, good show, and just continuous talking, so that's always good. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm excited to see how this can help some of my patients and some people, you know, that I care about. So I'm excited to see how this product works for people. And I feel like a confidence in it that I'm not harming. I mean, that's what we always say, do no harm, right? Yeah. And there are times when, you know, some medications we use, you wonder, you know, like, you know, unfortunately in my field, we have to use opioid pain medications. And there's some people that first pill they take, they're addicted to it. And, you know, that's probably one of the biggest things that we struggle with. So I'm excited about this product. I hope someday in Tennessee we can have medical marijuana available to our patients. I think things are changing, so maybe, you know, that's my opinion, but, you know, I treat really bad pain all the time. And the problems that come in West Tennessee, particularly with our opioid crisis, are just astronomical. And it leads to other things like heroin and things like that. I just think we may have an alternative here that can be a good solution for everybody and still provide good pain relief for our patients. So I think what you guys are doing is super awesome and just kind of revolutionary, and hopefully, you know, it'll catch on in this area.
One last thing too, a lot of people don't know that actually women produce cannabinoids in their breast milk for their babies. So that's
And is this safe to use while you're breastfeeding?
Wouldn't always say
we didn't really get
we do have products that don't have the high strength of the psychoactive, so we kind of would recommend more something like that. But even like CBD in general, like the cannabinoids that's actually producing for our babies, because it's either adding to what's missing for them or replacing or taking away what there is too much of.
Right, that's interesting. But yeah, thank you guys again, and maybe we'll have you back. And if our viewers have any questions for these guys, go ahead and post them on our Facebook page, or you can send me a message and I'll make sure it gets to them, or visit them on their website, their Facebook page, Instagram page. They're Black Owl. They're right on 641 in Camden. They're easy to find. Obviously very knowledgeable people and very friendly people, approachable. So don't be afraid to go there and ask your questions, because I think some people are intimidated by it. So just do it. It's not scary.
In the beginning, we had people that would park like on the opposite side of the parking lot and like kind of like walk in, and then once they saw
somebody told me they're still doing that.
They
park in a different parking lot.
I feel like it's like a tobacco-y store where we're very
or a vape store.
Well, and you're in southern states too, you know, where that stigma is still apparent.
Yeah. Well, hopefully tonight we just chipped away at that stigma a little bit, and then people can start to see some of the health benefits of this product. So again, thank you guys. Thank you all for watching our show tonight. Again, I hope you can share this with your friends and family. Hopefully bring them some good information that can help them in their health. We have some good upcoming shows. We're trying to get on a regular schedule here. Our next one is going to be on bioidentical hormone replacement, which is very much in the same light as this topic that we're on tonight, because bioidentical hormone replacement has a plethora of health benefits, but because it's natural, it is not something that the pharmaceuticals can produce. So we're going to really delve into that, and I personally have experience with bioidentical hormone replacement, and it's something that's becoming widely used in this area, and I have a lot of patients who've seen the health benefits from that as well. So excited to bring you that show. That will air July 14th at 7 o'clock our normal time. We'll be working on some more topics coming up. And again, I would encourage you to go to my Facebook page, Health Matters, Dr. Heather Melton, and I'd love to hear any suggestions for topics that you would like to hear about, not just what I'm kind of feeding you. So I would be happy to take any recommendations, and I'll try to find experts in that field to help us with that. So now the good part of the show. We have a special guest here with us coming in for comic relief or something like that. I'm not really sure. But I got my special guest. So this is a little role reversal, because normally Mike's the host and I'm the co-host, but tonight I got Mike Weatherford joining me.
Well, thank you,
as
Heather.
a co-host. I'm so glad you hung around.
Man.
I know you. Who let this guy in? And I think he's just here for the CBD.
What is that smell? I'm asking for a friend.
I've done a couple of shows and you haven't been here, but it's just funny you showed up tonight.
Yeah. When I pick the subjects when I come in.
Yeah, I know.
You told me
said you'll be here for the erectile dysfunction one too.
That's right. The erectile, the ED show, I'll be here. Ed, I'll come talk about Ed. But you kept telling me, hey, the CDC's tonight. The CDC's tonight. You kept telling me all day. And when I got out here and I smelled that smell. Yeah, when I smell it.
CBD. Now you got me saying.
I know. They got a song. Oh, that smell.
Yeah, we know. That's an old one.
It is.
Those two are probably too young for that song.
Hey, guess what we're going to do Saturday?
What are we going to do?
Yeah, what are we doing Saturday night?
We're riding bulls now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got some big excitement coming up.
Tell them about it.
All right, so everybody around here probably has heard of it. But PBR, we're so lucky in Paris. We have PBR coming to Paris. We are big time, So we have PBR coming to Paris. We have Cody Nance, our hometown boy, setting this up for us. He is gonna be riding. If he rides, it could be his 300th ride.
Man,
we need to show up and show out at that fairgrounds this weekend for him.
That's exactly right.
He's really bringing top-notch athletes to this event. I'm excited about it. We're a Tier 1 now event, so it's going to be on the TV. Yeah, I mean it's
Pluto. It'll be on
big.
Pluto. But tell them what.
Okay, yeah. So it's Friday and Saturday. I want everybody to go both nights.
That's
okay?
right.
I'm
Friday
the team
night.
doctor, by the way.
You are.
So that's
so you're
going to
put all the bones back together and slip them back in.
Yeah,
place.
I hope that. I hope I don't
grease
have
the ball
to do that.
joints.
Yeah.
Put new tie rods and line up the front
Okay,
end.
so let's get to Saturday. Saturday, there's all kinds of events going on.
Starts at 2.
We start at 3.
We start at 3, but at 2 o'clock.
Okay, at 2 o'clock, family events at the fairgrounds.
That's right.
For PBR. We're hosting this first annual celebrity bull ride.
That's correct.
And we're going to be emceeing.
That's right.
Comic relief.
You are. We're going to be there doing what we do best. Tell them what we do best.
BS.
That's exactly right. We're going to have the bulls.
And the bulls.
Well,
and
the
we'll
bulls
just
are
bring
going to already be there. We're just going to have to bring the S in with us. And we'll do
bring
that.
the S. Yeah, we're good at that. So, we'll be there hosting that event,
That's right.
poking fun at the riders.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I think we have like 10 or 12 riders
10
already.
or 12. What's happening, folks, is we're going to have the Celebrity Bull Rides coming up Saturday at 3 o'clock at the fairgrounds under the pavilion. So don't worry about it being hot or any of that mess. We got bleachers set up. You can come in, you can sit down, and you can watch these celebrities. I don't have the names with me, but I do know some of the chamber girls are going to be there.
Yep.
Different people's going to ride these bulls. They got to raise money, and they got to raise up to $500 to be able to participate. Then they can win that big gold buckle. Remember you see that one we had on the show Tuesday night? They can win that buckle, and it's just going to be some good stuff right there.
Yeah, this is a fundraising event for charities.
It is.
Not for Mike Weatherford show.
No, it's not for me this time. I'm not raising no charity this time.
They're going to be graded on how they ride, how long they ride, how fast the bull goes, the amount of money they raise.
That's right.
The crowd participation. So we need people to turn out and yell and scream for their favorite
When
rider.
they come out, Heather and I is going to talk to them. We're going to talk about their sponsors. And when they fall off, I hope that I can get right there and have a microphone right there in their mouth before they ever get up. Ask them, what happened?
Not are you all right? You're
No, I
gonna
don't
be
care about that. That's what your job is. You're the doctor. I'm just there, I did stay in the
You're
Holiday
just there
Inn
to
once.
look pretty.
I'm just there to look pretty. And guess what else we got going on?
What else?
What about Tater?
Oh no.
Tater Hayes, folks. Listen
Tater
here.
Hayes is representing the Mike Weatherford show.
Well, he's representing himself. He was on my show the other night, and we was talking, and there was a Cody Nance was in here, Chris Dowdy was here, and Travis was here. And we started talking, and I asked him what it would cost to get Tater Hayes on one of them bulls, and Tater said it cost $1,000. So I got $1,000 already, and now if we get $1,500, he's got to ride it sitting on it backwards. So that's going to be a done deal.
So we're close. So anybody who hasn't donated yet needs to
all you
donate to
gotta do
Tater
is
Hayes.
be out there. You can come by my shop and give it to me, or you can come out there to the event Saturday at the fairgrounds. Be there at 3, by 3 for the Celebrity Bull Ride. It opens up at 2 o'clock. And the more money we raise, the more crazier we're going to make Tater Hayes. I've had Tater Hayes on a lie detector. Remember that?
I would like to have him in a tutu while he rides it.
And $2,000, I put him in one of them.
All right.
Yeah, if I can
So
get to
yeah, I bring money by my office or Mike's business.
That's right, bring
we
it
get
by.
$2,000. Tater Hayes. is
Tater
gonna be wearing
Hayes
a
will
tutu.
ride it in a tutu. You got
And
a
a
tutu,
tiara.
don't you? You
I
got
don't have a tutu.
Well, get one. You can get one, right?
I don't know.
We'll make
Anybody
one.
got a tutu out there? You can
Yeah,
bring it by Mike's.
if we
one.
bring a tutu
It's gotta be
also.
a big one.
Yeah, it has to be extra large, you know. Might have to get over at Dresden Tent and Awning to make that tutu, you reckon? But it's going to be fun. Heather's going to tell her jokes.
I gotta work on those.
You ready? You got your cowboy jokes, right?
I got some rodeo jokes.
You got a rodeo joke. We're going to have fun. We're going to make it a good night for family entertainment. And we got to raise this money for Tater. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm pulling the hook on you. All right, everybody, join us Saturday at the fairgrounds, but come both nights, fill the fairgrounds for Cody Nance. Right?
Do it.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
See you Saturday.